So let's kick off. Our first speaker is designer Emma Conway. Emma is an in-house designer in the National Library of Ireland, and she's also designed the identity and materials for this evening's event. Emma has been working for just under 10 years in the design industry. You're going to notice 10 years coming up a lot. 10 years of the Irish Web Archive, 10 years of the 100 Archive, and so on. So Emma has been working for almost 10 years in Dublin and abroad. Prior to joining the National Library, she worked at Image Now, Dept in Rotterdam, and Language. And in Language, she was lead designer on various projects such as Temple Bar Gallery and Studios, the S Equality Campaign, and Trinity College Dublin. She's worked across a range of areas within communication design, and she has been featured in, as well as a founding supporter of, the 100 Archive. So we're really glad to have her this evening. Emma, over to you.
Great, thank you, Aideen. Hello, everyone. So as Aideen mentioned, I'm Emma Conway. I recently joined the library as in-house designer. I also was a founding member of the 100 Archive, and I've been following its development ever since. It's an amazing resource for designers and the public alike to get an insight into Irish design, revealing trends and styles and different opinions at present, and also it acts as a historical record that we can look back on. So like I said, I joined the library at the beginning of the year, and since then I've been meeting with the different departments to get a sense of the work that's carried out at the library, and also I'm becoming more and more familiar with the collections themselves, and just kind of starting to think about how I can showcase this as a designer. So sorry, there we go. Founding member of the archive. And so yeah, this brings me on to the title of my talk, which is Framing the Archive. This for me sums up the role I've adopted at the library, which for me is a way of looking at how I can showcase the work at the library. So it's not to create a new narrative or recontextualize the work, but rather think of a way to make the work more tangible and digestible for everybody. That's kind of the title I've taken from my talk. So the Memory of Ireland, this is something a line that is used by Sandra Collins, our director at the library, to help explain what it is the library does. So the library captures events, stories, moments in time through the ages that help to contextualize Ireland's past, present, and future. So the library has also had to adapt to developments within technology and how society communicates and shares information. And here lies the importance of the digital archive itself. So here's some imagery from the archive. So the shift to digital. So this is something that we are coming across again and again. And as a designer, I'm noticing that I'm sending things to print less and less, and more things are being created online, such as social media, websites, different online newsletters and things like that. So the online format itself can be so fleeting, with constant software updates and websites with only a short lifespan. So these things need to be captured, and so that we can look back on them in future. One such project that I worked on was the Yes Equality campaign, and this is in the archives at the library. And it's a really important moment in time for Ireland during the marriage referendum in 2015. This was a project that I worked on in Design Studio Language. And the idea of this identity was to create a framework that people could create something of their own. So it was a very simple design with essentially a toolbox that we gave to people, and people made their own out of it. So we obviously have the badges, but then the bottom right, you can see people make cakes, and there was crochet and everything. And it was amazing campaign to work on as a designer. I was getting calls at the weekend or the evening time for people being like, down in Carlow, they needed more posters, and we all were happy to just be a part of it. So it's so important and great that this website still lives on in the archive, because the website itself was an amazing resource for people when they wanted to kind of do door-to-door campaigns, or just find out how to vote, or where to get a poster they could download. And the website had everything there. So everything lived on the website. And that website obviously no longer exists. And because we have the archive, we're still able to visit back to this website itself. So that just explains how important these archives are. So taking the offline world online. So, during this year, we definitely noticed the shift to online, and to do events like this and other programming at the library. And we found new ways to provide the resources to people, so they can still visit the Yates exhibition, for instance, in a 360 virtual tour. And also this year we launched the Living with Pride exhibition at the National Photographic Archive. And we also, that exists in a physical sense, but you can also visit it online in an online exhibition. So, as we notice that, there's a shift to digital is happening, designers and developers are finding new ways to present information, and whether that be design or code as well, to kind of allow people to interact with the content in a different way. So one such example I came across recently was for the British Museum. So they've created this amazing interactive timeline where it's called the Museum of the World, and they showcase different artifacts from their museum in a way that you can click on and find information. So it's kind of a way of interacting with the content itself, which I think is really fascinating. And I think this will definitely be great to showcase in the archives as well, just the development of technology through the years. Which I think is a really good example of this. And another example I wanted to include in the realm of archival is Rhizome. So this is an international example of an online archive. It champions both born digital art and culture through commissions and exhibitions and digital preservation. So it was founded by the artist Mark Tribe. Rhizome has played an integral role in the history of contemporary art engaged with digital technologies and the internet. So as you can see, like with different industries, whether it be art, design, music, etc., the shift to digital is quite clear, and the need for it to be archived is becoming more and more important. So we can look back on it and look at the developments through time. So that brings me on to my final point, which is, the next area I would love to see web archiving explore would be to take, the online offline perhaps. So I think after COVID, I think people will have a real hunger for real life experiences off screen, because we're on the screen quite a lot now. And I think there's many different ways we could do this, because I think the internet and the web can be quite overwhelming. There's so much out there. So I think an interesting way that the library could perhaps, curate the online world and create exhibition spaces showcasing the work in new and different ways. So on screen here is an example that I went to in Rotterdam in 2017, and it was exhibiting, it was called Sleep Mode by artist Raphael Rosenthal, and it was exhibiting the screensaver. And the screensaver obviously was invented to stop imprints happening on screen if an image stayed on the screen too long. But this kind of thing that you would normally only witness at home on a screen on your own was now occupying a whole new space, creating a whole new experience. And I think this would just be a really fascinating way to maybe take digital into a new realm. And this is just an example of the space itself as well, and just an interesting way of how digital can work offline, and just the kind of interaction between the two mediums, I think would be really, really interesting. So therein lies the finish of my talk. So thank you very much. I'll pass it over to AD now.